It's spinning.
I
I think we're live.
think we're live. It says live, 5 seconds, so I
Live.
think we're live.
Live. Okay,
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm gonna open up a window really quickly and just check that we are definitely live on Facebook. And if we are, and you're watching us, please make a comment and say hello. Oh, I think we are. Yes, we are. Okay, we're here. Hi, hello, Lori and Cindy. Can you see the comments, Denise?
No. Oh, wait, here.
Barbie, it's Barbie
Oh,
doll.
there we go. It was a but. Oh my gosh, this is exciting. Oh, these people, these are my peeps. Oh, oh my God, these are my peeps. Hi, everybody. This is exciting.
Suzanne.
Oh my God.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
Janet and Sandy and Pamela and Linda and Kim and
it.
Catherine and BJ and Anika and Sasha.
I
Oh, and
love it. I love
Miriam
it. I
and
love it. I love it.
Karen. Oh, and
Yes.
Lori. Oh, I love
Kayla,
this.
B. This is so much
Amy.
fun.
Love
This
Suzanne.
is
I love
this is so
Suzanne.
love Suzanne.
There we go. Sandy and Janet and Pamela. Oh my God.
I know.
Diane.
This is so
This
much
is
fun.
so great.
Luann
Hey,
is
Luann. Hey, Luann.
and someone's from
Oh,
Norway.
Norway. Yay. And Utah.
This
And
always reminds
Sweden. Okay. And
Oh,
Brisbane.
Sweden. My niece lives in Stockholm. I know how to say Gott Jul. That means Merry Christmas. I can say Merry Christmas in Swedish.
That's great.
Ah, Lupita. The universe just put this on my monitor. Oh, I love it. Yay, Suzanne. Okay, good. So this feels like the beginning of Romper Room when we're looking through the magic looking glass.
And I have to tell everyone, if you see me looking like this, I live in Northern California, and if you've been watching the news, we've had a series of storms, and crazily in an area that just never gets snow. One night we had like 16 inches of snow. We had, I think, 6 snowstorms that melts, and then we have snowstorms. So there was no snow this morning, and right now there's little hail coming and hitting the window. So if you see me looking, it's like, oh my gosh! It's not big hail; it's little hail. But that's what I'm doing.
You guys have massive weather there. I saw those beautiful photos that you posted, and everything was like covered in snow. And it was beautiful.
It's like been amazing. And then it all melts, and then an hour later, there's like 12 inches of snow, and then it all melts. And like within 24 hours, we had 6 times there was snow and melted.
Have you ever had snow there before? Is this the first time you've had snow?
No, and I'm kind of a California girl, but I'm enjoying it. But we did get snowbound, which meant we could not leave, which was fine because we have a generator. But the generator ran out of gas, and that was an adventure trying to slide. We have a mile-long driveway, and it's like this.
Oh, I can see you like trying to crawl up the hill and sliding back down again.
Anyway, well, I know people are coming here to hear about past lives, so let's jump in. I'll let you start off.
Okay.
Liz.
So first of all, my name is Liz Dawn, and I own a company called Mishka Productions, and we create Celebrate Your Life events. I know that all of you on the CYL pages know who I am, but maybe you don't know who I am if you're on Denise's page. Denise has been featured at so many of our live Celebrate Your Life events, and it's just always so much fun. We have a great party. But today we're going to talk about past lives, and stick around because we've got something to share with you. Lisa Williams is here.
Is she right here? Oh, Lisa, hi.
We should bring her into this conversation.
We should actually. She would be a great addition to Past Lives. Yeah. Lisa, I don't know what your timing is, but if you are willing to join us, we would love it. And of course, if you don't, will you tell people about Lisa, how she decides if she could join us or not?
Okay, so Lisa, if you can join us, say yes, and Tanya will send you the StreamYard link. But I have a feeling that she's got a meeting because I was just in a meeting with Lisa.
Oh, okay.
So I have a feeling.
Well, anyway,
if you can't
join us, we just love you.
She will. Lisa's a busy lady. Okay, so we're going to talk about past lives, and stick around to the end because Denise and I have kind of a fun surprise to share with you. So yeah, we've got all kinds of fun things to announce. So let's talk about past lives. Denise, you wrote a great book, Past Lives, Present Dreams, and you've taken thousands and thousands of people through past life regressions. And I'd love, and wait a second, do I need to introduce Denise, or everybody knows who Denise is? I just realized I didn't introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the fabulous Denise Linn, who has written over 30 plus books in a gazillion different languages, and she's amazing and fantastic. And I think one of the top spiritual teachers out there in our world today. They're spiritual alchemists. All right, so Denise,
I haven't written 30 books. I've written, I think, 21 now, but it's not
21.
30.
Oh, 21,
just to
30.
be accurate.
Okay.
That's what your friends do. They exaggerate your qualities, which is wonderful, but I also like to be authentic. Yes.
So, you have taught a lot of workshops about past lives and done past life regressions for thousands of people. I think you shared with me once that you did a past life regression for 3,000 people.
I've actually done that quite a few times, 2,000 to 3,000 people at a time.
That's amazing.
And it's great because you have this collective energy. And whenever there's a group of people who come together for past lives, almost always there is a past life they've shared together. And that's so exciting to see what that life is that emerges. It's almost like a cosmic law that when you get drawn to a past life event, other people who shared similar lives with you will be there. And
I love that. That's kind of cool.
It is very cool.
So how do you think it's purposeful? Like, what purpose do you believe it serves in our lives today to understand where we've been in the past in a different lifetime?
For me, I don't look at past lives as just something you can share at, a party. It's like, oh, my psychic told me I was Cleopatra. It's not. To me, and trust me, all the people are told they're Cleopatra. How many Cleopatras were there? but and usually that's someone who will tell you something, maybe reflecting some qualities that you have or making you feel good. But for using past life for spiritual advancement is with the understanding that the blockages that we have in this life, many of them were not sourced in this life. Many of them came from another time and another place. And trying to, and I suggest only do past lives if you've tried everything else and it didn't work, because it's like dandelions. If you've got this challenge and you mow over them, oh, it looks better, but it's a dandelion. It comes back. And then you're like, oh, I do therapy, I'll do processing, affirmations, visualization, mow them over, and it comes back because the roots haven't been addressed. And sometimes the roots of our challenges, our health challenges, our abundance challenges, especially our relationship challenges, come from another time and another place. And they come from not necessarily the trauma. It isn't the trauma that creates challenges. It's the beliefs that you adopted at the time. I will never trust people in power. I'll never trust men. I always need to protect myself. Or there's, or if I get money, I will be persecuted. So you make sure you never have any money because you don't want to get persecuted. And we don't know what those conscious beliefs are until you do the past life regression, but they will run your life. They will ruin your life in some cases because they haven't been addressed. So that's why I love doing past life regressions. And I've seen miracles. I have seen literally people who were in wheelchairs that could walk. I had one woman who was blind, and at the end of the past life regression, she could see. And it seems like, oh, these are miracles. It's not so much a miracle as it is getting to the root, getting to the source of what the challenge is. And when you shift it at the root, whatever that belief system was that ignited that challenge, that's what begins to dissolve it. It doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody who's in a wheelchair, not everyone who's blind will have results, but so many people have found relationships they just couldn't resolve, or that pattern that kept repeating again and again and again, and you can't heal it. And then you do a past life regression. It's like, oh my gosh, that's what that was about. And when you shift it at your source, and I have a technique that most past life regressions don't use, but it's so effective to shift it at its source, and you actually create a new timeline. And anyway, I love doing past life regressions.
I love it too. The first one I ever did, and it was quite by accident. My mother sort of had to convince me. I was 19 years old. And I had nightmares when I was a child, horrible, violent nightmares when I was about 5, 6 years old. And then they
Wow.
kind of went away. And then they came back again when I was in college and I was struggling in school and I was having a really hard time and I was in therapy and nothing was working. And I was having these horrible nightmares again. And I had always been extremely, extremely passionate about Nazi Germany. And I mean, it's, as a Jewish woman, it was really embedded into our education,
Yeah.
right? So when I did this past life regression and I was like, Mom, I don't believe this. What are we doing? Can't believe you're doing this. And it was a friend of hers who was she was a therapist and then certified to do past life regressions. Now I'm
Yeah.
19. So this is back in the 80s. All right. My mom was pretty woo-woo. So I did this regression and I literally dropped into a lifetime where I was a young boy in Nazi Germany. And I saw how I died. They stomped on my chest and shot me in the nose. And I am sobbing. I am sobbing through this whole thing. Like it was and my eyes are closed, but I am just sobbing, being taken away from my mother and being put into the camp and the whole thing. But here's what's so amazing to me is as Liz, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a scar on my chest.
Right. It's one of the things we look at is people's scars, because often it's not an accident where that scar is.
Right.
Carry
Well,
on.
I was born with an unfinished lung, but they didn't know it until I was about 5 or 6 years old. And then they had to go in and it got infected and all this other mishigas, right? And I used to get nosebleeds. And they kept cauterizing my nose and they wouldn't stop. And so, and after that, the nightmares ceased to exist because I got it. It was like this, oh, wow, that makes sense. And so I could approach anytime someone would bring that time period up in classes or something like that, I could actually approach that in such a more balanced way. Suzanne, you remember my mom? I've known Suzanne since we were in utero. Our moms were like best friends. That's so cool. But yeah, so it makes sense. So that aha moment really, really happens. And it just, the nightmares went away. Never had them again, ever had that type of nightmare again. So it's really, really profound. And I've been in the space with you when you've done past life regressions and I've seen just miracles unfold, just things just absolutely unfold. And we have a guest that has just popped in. Can I bring her in? Are we ready?
The reason we're excited about Lisa, if you do not know Lisa Williams, she is one of the world's premier medium psychics, perhaps the premierest in the world. I mean, maybe you've seen her on CNN when she's giving psychic perceptions. Maybe you saw one of her TV shows that she had on the Lifetime show. She is so freaking good. Her psychic ability, her mediumship ability is just it. When I've been around her at her seminars, I can't close my mouth because she came here and she did for a week, was working with people, and literally, I couldn't close my mouth. I'm like, David, my husband, I'm having trouble closing my mouth because she's so amazing. So if anyone can talk about past lives and energy, it would be Lisa. And we didn't know you were going to be here, but we saw your name on the chat. I was like, yeah, Lisa.
It was so funny because I was like watching it, waiting for my client to turn up, which didn't happen. So I went, okay, I always wait a good 10 minutes. And then I'm like, I'm just going to pop in. But just to let everybody really understand the depth of this, Denise officiated my wedding to my darling husband. And that's how much Denise is like Denise, I love you. I miss you. Anyway, love fest over.
And I'm going to stop crying. I miss you guys so much.
Yeah. It's a little aside, but you mentioned it. Okay. So the way I ended up officiating at Lisa's wedding is I was at an event that Lisa was at, and I was walking, and Lisa was in the room, and there was like thousands of people there.
Hold on a second. It was a Liz event with It was a CYL event.
Okay, it was a CYL event, and Lisa was talking to them. You're like my daughter when I'm telling the story. She goes, "No, Mom, there were not 100. There were 99." I'm like, "Okay." So Lisa is in the room. She's talking to thousands of people, and I'm in the hallway by myself. And there's this tall, good-looking guy, and we start talking. And this was your boyfriend. And right in the middle of this, he goes, "You're going to marry us." Like out of the clear blue. Yeah, you're and I was like, what? I mean, I don't even know that they were that,
I didn't even know we were either.
Yeah, you were even serious. And he just looks, and he's not, and he thought all the woo-woo stuff was weird. Isn't this stuff weird? And I said, some people really like it. Some people get value. I was trying to kind of go middle road. He goes, "Yeah, you're going to marry us." Oh, that's me marrying you guys.
He's married Lisa and Chris.
Oh
so awesome. I love it.
It was just, yeah. Anyway, and sorry, Denise, I cut you off because I wanted to show everybody how beautiful you looked that day.
Always.
Thank you.
Always.
Well, let's talk. People have come here to talk past lives. So what is your perception about past lives? You work with thousands of people around the world. How do you approach past lives? What do you think the value is?
So I think there's an extreme value in it. For me, what I tend to do is I don't touch on past lives unless I know that they're into the woo woo, and as soon as someone says, "Oh, I get it," I'm like, yes, because what happens is I'm like, okay, so I'm seeing that you have issues with your mom, your dad. You feel like you're a little bit like plunked into a family you don't belong in. And I'm like, can I unravel this a little bit further? And so that's actually when I do delve into a past life, I'm like, oh, there was something here that needed to be resolved, or there is something bigger that needs to come out. And so when we start delving into, like I had a client only recently, when I started to unravel their past lives and started to see their past lives, I went, now I understand why you had to come back and journey this. But the end, it stops now. It stops now. And so I think there's such a value in understanding. And seriously, guys, I think there's such a value to understand your past lives and experience it for yourself, not just have a medium or a psychic go, "Oh, well, you were this and you were that and you were the other." No. Because there's an element of, you don't kind of trust it. Personally, for me, I want to see it, I want to feel it, I want to be in it, I want to go, oh, and I want to have my own revelations. And that's why I feel as though past lives are so valuable. That's how I look at it.
Well, I love those, like what I was sharing before when I was 19, that like aha moment. It made so much sense to me, where I couldn't figure it out, like all those 19 years before that. And it just makes sense. And it makes sense. Like, and I've seen people who fears have dissipated. Denise, can you share?
It's one of the most powerful things that you can do with past lives is someone who has a phobia that they can't figure out where it came from. There's nothing in their childhood. There's nothing even in their ancestral lines. It's not uncommon for challenges to come through the bloodline, but they've traced the bloodline. There's nothing there. But it's when they go back and see. I knew someone who was deathly afraid of birds. Like she couldn't even go outside because she had a fear of birds. And they said she didn't have any traumas with birds. Nobody in our families had trauma with birds. But she went back to a time where she had been injured. She was on the ground and the birds came and she couldn't get up because she was dying and the birds were pecking at her. And it created this horrible feeling of fear of birds. But it's not just the fear of birds. It's when you have one kind of fear of being the victim, then what happens is that translates to all other parts of your life. So the technique I use, that most past life regressionists don't use, is I have you go back to that pivotal moment. It's like, oh my God, I'm laying here, the birds are pecking on me, and change it. Because the past is malleable. We think it's carved in stone. It is not. So when you change it, like, she goes back a week before that event and she didn't get injured and no birds were pecking at her. And it seems like, well, that's just in your mind. But yeah, that's in your mind. It's all in your mind. And when you shift it here, it shifts everything. So not only did she get over her devastating fear of birds, and you can imagine if you're afraid of birds, you never can go outside. And but in all other areas of her life, she began to step into her strength, her majesty, and her power because she was able to. And it only took that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take years of therapy. All you go is you go back, you find it, and you shift it. And
I can speak to that actually, Denise, and I'm just going to share with you. Many people know this. Is I am deathly afraid of peas. Deathly.
I know that.
You know this.
What?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely.
How do you not know this, Liz? It's kind of
Liz,
like
it's written in so many books. I'm sorry, I've got weird. I wasn't obviously going to be on camera, but definitely
You're
afraid
afraid
of
of
peas.
peas. What do you mean peas?
Little round green garden peas.
No.
yes. Let her
absolutely.
carry on.
Denise knows all about it. And so I found out that through my, because I got ridiculed for it for years, and I found out that my father's great uncle died choking on peas 50 years before I was born.
So was that you in a past life, or is that something that traveled through the bloodline? Because
I think
fears travel through bloodline.
I think that traveled through the bloodline, but the more I have experienced it, the more I'm working with it, because I am working with my phobia of peas and other foods. I actually feel as though it could be a past life that I was part of him, or I was an element. So that's, but it is so true, because when I go near a pea or when I see it, I actually feel this internal fear and this almost feeling of vomit. It's so crazy. And so I can actually attest to what Denise is talking to.
Wow.
And it could be a split apart too. There are some people that there is like one soul, and in one incarnation there'll be in several people. So it could have been that your soul and his soul were like one soul, and now it's a split apart.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
Interesting.
I have a friend who is she's my split apart, and she's Finnish. She has, well, gray now. We're all gray, but died. But she has blonde hair. I have dark hair. You know, she's thinner. I'm bigger. Look really different. But when we're together, people think we're sisters, and we're so different. She's Finnish. I'm not. But here's what's weird is we do the same thing on the same day. We will buy the same CD on the same day. But I mean, we both started something called soul coaching. We didn't know the other person was doing it. We used the same name. I mean, it's amazing. But here's what's weird. When she was pregnant, she went in for some blood work. And they said, "Are you eating a lot of papayas?" And she said, "No." And they said, "Well, your papin levels, which is a part of papaya, are off the chart." And she said, they said, "Well, do you take pills with papin?" No. At that time, I was living in Hawaii. I didn't have much money. I was going around doing night pruning. What is it? Night pruning? It's finding papayas that people have fallen off their trees or maybe about to fall off, and I'm just there. So I was living on papayas, so my papin levels were high. I didn't know her at that time. But so sometimes, so does that make sense?
Yeah.
So well, you know, it gets a little mystical, but sometimes there are people that it's one soul, and sometimes it can be more than two bodies. It could be several bodies. The world of spirit is so mysterious and wondrous and exhilarating, as Lisa can tell you.
Yeah, answering to that, a lot of people actually ask me this. They say, and I think this is very important in a past lives discussion, because a lot of people say to me, when my loved one dies, am I going to see them on the afterlife, or are they going to reincarnate? And I say it could be both. Because you can have a literally like a USB download, and so I'm able to read like the Akashic records, the downloads. But there's also that element that's going to greet you. You're not going to be left sort of like well, where are you? But they could also be your grandson that has been born, and then all of a sudden you meet them it's so incredible. And I just think a lot of people think linear.
Yeah.
People think very, very linear, and it's not.
No.
So yeah, I love this.
The image I use for past lives is people tend to think there's this line, and here's the past, here's the present, and here's the future. But I like to think of it as a great big circular room. It's like a sphere. And in the middle of the sphere is a mirror ball, like those dance mirror balls. And so here's all these reflections and the mirror ball's moving. So the reflections are moving. And if you jumped onto one of those reflections, you became really tiny. You would think, oh, that's the past behind me, and that's the future in front of me. But it's all coming from the same source. It's all coming from the mirror ball. And if you went far enough around going to the quote unquote future, you would find yourself back in the past. And it's all, and so we're all together as one, and spirit's all together as this massive mirror ball. I don't know. That's the only way I can think to describe it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's you. Barb Nyman just shared. We all know Barb.
Ooh, Bob.
Barb Nyman just shared. I felt my heart open in a way I'd never experienced when I first went to Sedona. A past life regression with Denise gave me an understanding of my spiritual connection to Sedona. One of my past lives was as a Native woman from that area. And that really does go, like, I know that Barb is really, really drawn to Sedona. And does it also, like, when we're really drawn or repelled by certain areas of the world, do you think that also is a message for us about our past lives?
It certainly can be. And that feeling of deja vu, that idea that you've been there before, there's a good chance you were there before.
Right.
And so you're picking up on that energy from that other time. And sometimes this is what's fascinating. The past, present, and future all kind of merge, meld together. And sometimes you can actually, in an area, part of you is in that past life at the same time, like energetically.
Oh.
I was in Etruscan in a past life, and I was in Italy. This was many years ago. And I could feel that Etruscan life melding over me. And, I'm in my 20s and I wanted to be kind of sexy. So I had kind of sexy clothes on. And those are the days when you're in Italy and you're a sexy young woman, then the men would whistle and pinch you. I mean, they were notorious for that. But that energy, I was so much in that Etruscan life that nobody saw me. And I would go up to groups of young men thinking, this is interesting. And I would stand. There's guys kind of on the street trying to do their, like, I'm a cool kind of young guy thing. Nobody would see me because part of my energy was in that other time and other place.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's kind of, it's so, when you get into this stuff, it's just, but fascinating. But I don't do it for the fascination. I do it because it can heal, it can change, it can, like Barb said, her heart opened. It can allow your heart to open. It can allow you to understand the relationships that you've never been able to resolve. But when you see why, it's like, oh yeah, that's why. And everything kind of dissolves when you understand what that dynamic is.
I just love it. Okay, so this is a good segue. I'm just going to quickly announce that, as you all can imagine, why we're talking about past lives is because Denise is going to be doing a weekend event. It's going to be online, you guys. It's going to be online, but it's live. So it's just like you're seeing us now, and Denise will be live. So it's a live online event on April 1st and 2nd. The URL is denise.celebrateyourlife.com. So it's denise.celebrateyourlife.com. And Denise, do you want to talk a little bit about what we'll be doing? I know you're going to do past life regressions.
I am going to do a lot of regressions because you can read about past lives. There's so many books out. You can look at videos, you can read books, you can Kindle past lives, but to actually experience it can change your life. Yeah. And I've had people whose lives change forever like this. And I used to think, oh, it has to be live, live in person. And this is actually before the pandemic. I thought, well, it can't possibly work if it's not live. And I did an event where I was doing past life regressions, and people would write and they'd say all these amazing things happened to them. And I realized that cyberspace can be sacred space. So before this event, we're going to work hard, and I'm going to work hard to actually create a sense of a collective energy that is sacred and hallowed and holy. And the great thing about being in your own home is you can actually relax. You can, when I do the regression, you can just lay back in your chair, lay back in your bed, and you can get even deeper into it in that regard. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Can I speak to Denise's gift here? Sorry, I just got to speak to Denise's gift. I had the pleasure of working with Denise in her own home. And I'm going to say that I am really not a little bit skeptical because I teach meditation. I do a lot of meditations. I'm a snob at meditations. I'm a snob at anything like that. But Denise has this most exquisite way of being able to make you feel so safe, so held in this place. And I've known teachers who can't listen. I wasn't planning. Listen, I wouldn't be wearing my sweats just turning on. It's like so impromptu. But when Denise tells you she's going to work hard at creating a collective space, I know she does because I've seen her do it. I've seen her set into that space. I've seen her hold that space, set the intention. And Denise, you are such an incredible powerhouse when it comes to energy. I need everyone to know this, and I'm not saying it because I love these two women, because I absolutely do, but you are such an incredible powerhouse when it comes to energy. And anyone that will come to this will have the gift of you, because you are truly a gift. And there you go. Linda just said it. You're a treasure, a woman of many talents. So I attest to you. There you go. I'm just going to bow down to you right now.
And this is going to be fun because it's not going to be, and thank you so much, Lisa, because I agree. And I'm always telling Denise how fantastic I think she is, and everything that she does. I even sit when she does an event, I even sit in the room because I'm running around, doing all my things, but I take the time to sit in the room because I absolutely love her meditations and past life regressions. They're just remarkable. So this event is going to be on a Saturday and Sunday. It's April 1st and 2nd. It's online. It will be probably via Zoom, because I know that Denise wants to make sure that she could see everybody. And if you can't make the times, it will be recorded. So let's say you have an appointment that day, later in the day, or the time doesn't work for you or something, it will be recorded. So you'll be able to view it 14 days post the event dates. So if you just go to denise.celebrateyourlife.com, again, it's denise.celebrateyourlife.com. All the information is there. I'm hoping that all of you come join us. It's super affordable, everyone. It's going to be an amazing 2-day experience. We're going to have so much fun. And I'm sure that Denise will have some time to do some Q&A, some questions and answers. You'll be taken through past life regression journey. And I think it's absolutely remarkable. Everybody should attend.
If you're already planning on attending, please make sure you're hydrated. Please make sure you're hydrated for both days. Also, if you can, kind of get a sense of what results you want, because the energy will actually start to flow in the direction of your intentions. The experiences that you have, if you think, you know what, I've been really challenged financially, my job, this is the area I really need work with. What'll happen is when you hold that intent before the workshop, the experiences that you have will actually propel you in the direction of healing that. So those are two things: hydration and get clear on what your intention is beforehand, as a suggestion.
I know. And someone said, oh, online, it's doing something online actually allows people from all over the world to attend. And that's what I love doing my live events. We'll always continue to do live events, but I have to tell you, the emails that we get, how grateful people are that we're doing some online programs, that Celebrate Your Life is presenting some online programs, is just enormous, because there's nothing like being in the space, but I have to tell you, I've done online events with Denise, and she is masterful at creating space and having you create your space to be present for the program. And that's what I love. And that's what I do. So I hope you'll come join us. It's going to be fantastic.
It will be a joy to have you. And thank you, Liz, for inviting me to have this conversation. And Lisa for just spontaneously showing up. Oh my God.
I feel honored. And I do have the registration ready to go. So please, I might even join you. I might come and be part of the Denise experience. So thank you for letting me gate crash.
Absolutely. Okay, ladies, Lisa, stay right there. Everyone else, we're going to take off now. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.